Hey guys, welcome to another Rugged and Ruthless. My name is Joey. As always, ruggedandruthless.com. I'm joined today with Annie. Annie, tell me about yourself. Tell me why you're here and let me know who you are. I mean, we've talked
We
beforehand,
talked a
but
little bit.
yeah,
That's
let me
true.
know. Fill me in.
All right. So I've been a leadership coach for probably the last 15 years. I work with a lot of private clients. What my favorite thing to do, though, is to help people get out of their own way when it comes to the subconscious sabotage that they create for themselves, which also limits their revenue and makes it really difficult for you to scale and grow a team. So,
I like that was short and to the point. Now, where can they find you? So let's get this out of the way now. Where can they find you?
all right. You can find me on Instagram. It's northstarleadership.annie, A-N-N-I-E, northstarleadership.annie. And that's where a lot of people will DM me questions. Then I do videos for them from those specific questions. So it could be anything. It could literally be I've been in business consulting for 15 years. So anything from how do I get my team to listen to me more? How do I change my team's behavior? How do I make sure I'm in the right frame of mind to expand my business? How do I keep myself from getting stuck in my relationship? How do I make my home life more stable so I can build more in business? So anything you could think about there is a topic that I cover.
So it's a hard knock life.
Hard
Sorry,
knock life.
sorry, I had Annie reference.
I don't have the same. I have curly hair. It's just not bright red.
Yeah, I can see that. So we were talking offline. You know what I do and everything like that. And we were just kind of just here chit chat. I wish we'd have got that on camera. Actually, it was pretty good. So when you say take on a client, okay, just say you take somebody on, um, what is the first thing you do?
Depends. Is it a man or a woman?
Does it really matter? I mean, it does. I don't know. So I mean,
Well, sometimes it does matter. The hardest thing for me with men is that most men come in because they want to do business work, right? But really what they need is they need to do work on opening up the connection between their head and their heart because they're very logical, they're very linear. But if they don't have that connection to their heart, they won't build their business as quickly and they won't build it with as much magnetism. And so my biggest thing is like, let's awaken these men so that they are really just like their attractiveness level increases, their power increases, everything gets a little bit better. Is that gonna be annoying for you?
it's in just high in that range that I can hear it. So I'm just because the tinnitus, it's always
Or let you
buzz.
hear because sometimes it's nice.
My right ear is pretty much done. Why do you think I'm facing you and kind of looking
That's
this
so
way?
weird.
Left ear, not right. I always faced to the right when I was in the army. So yeah, this year, that's okay.
Well, if you want to get rid of some of that tinnitus stuff, I do have some really random stuff you can drop in your ear that helps with that a lot. So I'll tell you about it offline.
Look at you. You're already coming up with some positive solutions.
Yeah.
So one of the conversations that when we were talking before and getting to know each other to be able to start this was I like how you jumped on when I said I believe there's a difference between leadership and management. Because I've always been brought up leaders lead by example, managers lead by fear. And you jumped on that. Like you were on it. And I've always believed in that because I am always a guy like with that military mentality, we've always had to take the same steps. Even though you might be a leader, you still had to take the same steps. So I would always say, I would never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do or already have done.
Mhm.
I'm not going to actually do something crazy. So the fact that you jumped on that, I was like, all right, she's got this. Okay. Because that is a hard thing for people to deal
Well, the
with.
way the world talks about leadership is so backwards sometimes, right? I mean, what you see too is people don't have a definition in their company of what a follower is, what a leader is, what a manager is. So people get confused with all those different terms. And the way I like to talk about it is I'm like, okay, a follower is somebody who's taking a lot of action. A leader is someone who's evoking action in other people. A manager is someone who has set that desired end state for where we all need to go and then provides all the resources to develop the people underneath. So the problem for me is that most entrepreneurs that I know get stuck in a follower role when they think they're leading, or they get stuck in a leadership role when they really should be managing in a different way. So it's sort of a big, unfortunate, big mess out there because people don't spend a lot of time talking about the language. And everybody has different definitions for everything. They all
See,
have different backgrounds.
and see, in that sense, so when I took on the leadership, when I went to PLDC while I was in the Army, um, one of the things I used to always like to say is I take the leadership. It's loyalty, duty, respect, self-service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. I just morphed that into what I do now. So anybody that knows, you know. But leadership to me is like when I was the COO and I would be out there. If we had a guy that was missing, we need something done, I'd be out there running the machine. Now I'd have to stop more because I had to deal with the emails and stuff like that. But my guys always saw that. They said, oh, he will come out here and do it. Or, hey, we're staying late today. phone would go off, and I would just go there and work with them and say, hey, I'm right here with you.
Well, you were able to show them, like, no matter what job needed to be done, you could do that job, which I think is a big deal for most people because then they have a respect field for you that's different than everybody else. If there's a person in the company that doesn't show up and know how to do all the jobs, how can they follow that person as a leader? They can't.
Well,
That's you were doing the right thing there.
well, and a lot of times, like when I would get past the promotions growing up, coming up in a corporate world, I was in staffing, so that's even was more difficult because I was getting passed up for stuff. They were hiring people from externally. Well, they were a leader over here. Well, that doesn't mean it corresponds to here. I'm a very firm believer, hire in the community and hire people that have the same field, but hire within. Now, you may not have that leader within. I've had that numerous times where I was in positions where I didn't have that leader within. So I started to cultivate that leader. Hey, I'm going to give you this extra role. You're not going to get paid for it necessarily because you can't always pay somebody to take on something extra. But as I would feed them something on this end, I would pull something away and give it to somebody else, start cultivating somebody else. So I would have to do that circle.
That's very unique because, like, most of the people in this world, if they haven't had the background in military that you've had, they would not know how to remove that. It would just keep piling on more and more to that person, and then that person would end up quitting because they don't have those other things being removed. So I love where you're going with this because most companies that I worked with do not have the military background. They don't have that experience in leadership. And so they will literally pile so much on their team that the team is now working at 110% capacity. Nobody has any ability to shift or help anybody else. It destroys the culture.
Well, and see how that was my next thing I was going to bring up was culture because most of my employees love me because they're like, hey, I need an extra day off. Take the day off. Well, we have this as just take the day off because if it's going to make you happy on this end, you're going to be a lot happier here. I never missed a quota because of the fact that the people that were beneath me were happy to be by me. They were happy to follow. That's hard to do. And I've worked at places where I had managers, even in the Army. I had managers. Guys would stand back, watch everybody do the work. Well, I had to do it when I was there. You have a work or a deadline.
We all have to come together. I think people don't even understand the definition of team anymore.
Yes, together everyone achieves more.
Correct. And 100% of your success in life is related to how well you team. And so I always tell people, I'm like, in any position, any job, you have to figure out how to build team with every single person around you.
Well, and one thing that I always like to do with anything place I've worked is there was always people that did great things, and there was people, and it, said, well, if you don't know, you need to try harder. Why the hell are you trying to try harder? If they're excelling and making us do better here,
let's follow them. Let's
follow them. Like I'm not because
let's get their structure right. Let's figure out what their process is.
And that's a hard thing for a lot of people. Is like, I love Bill Gates. For one point, he said I would assign the hardest job to the laziest person because they found the quickest way to do it.
That's actually a brilliant concept.
That's what he used to do. He used to, because the lazy people would say, okay, I need to get this done. They don't want to lose their job, but they'd find the quickest way through it. And he would just mimic that.
That's incredible. I love that concept.
Yeah. And I tried, because I like to read. So like when I started to become a new entrepreneur again, I took a lot out of what I was doing. So, okay, I'm going to learn from everybody else's success. I may not agree with it because Bill Gates on the back end he's ruthless. We are rugged and ruthless, but I also realized to build a culture, you have to build a community. Sure. And the community is your job. I know in a couple of my jobs, we were going through hell, but I love the people I work with, and it kept me showing up every day. I loved my boss. But everything above him was shit. It was a shit show. But I could trust the people in the room, just like in the Army, I could trust the guy in the foxhole. That's the culture I built. We are a community. Hell, Mikey knows. I'm bad at calling people back, but he'll tell you I'm always there. If you needed something, I would be there. Maybe hard to get a hold of me, but he knows.
Well, I think.
But I'm also doing a million things at once, and he knows that too.
Well, I think that's the thing too, right? Like, you guys are so cute. A little legendary combination of how you guys work together. I think that you're saying such good things here about like what is needed in culture, because I think that the culture of different companies has been the hardest piece because most people forget that the culture is observable actions, right? So what you see people doing is the culture, even if you don't want it to be the culture. And so
good, better, and different.
Yeah,
I agree.
Different. And I found, because I've been doing this for about 15 years, when I go into companies and I work with them, the most interesting piece is that whoever the CEO is, that person has trauma patterns. They've got something that has driven them forward in business. That's why they're the entrepreneur they are. But they've almost attracted a team of people that have similar patterning because they all were attracted to each other for some reason. Like I had one gentleman who had And in his patterning, he was trying to be sort of the father figure to people in this company. And he realized recently, he's like, it's not about being the father figure at all. It's about being the businessman. And I had the father figure and the businessman confused. So it's just interesting to watch. And I wish more CEOs would spend time doing that personal work on themselves, CEOs, CFOs, the people in the C-suite, because then it wouldn't be filtering down and attracting people that have that same trauma pattern. So that's something that I work on a lot with teams, just because I'm like, can we do this a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently? Can we get out of our own way a little bit quicker? Because, in business, you don't have time really to be messing around.
Agreed. Well, a lot of times what I'll do is I will hire somebody below me that's the exact opposite of me. And not because I really, because we're not gonna get along, but I look at the world kind of in a dark way because my family's all business owners, concrete, HVAC, restaurants. Like I have my grandfather owned a computer store. Like that's, but I grew up in that culture. I'm that shoot first, ask question later, because I said I know it needs to get done, and then I rush people. So I always hire somebody that's like, hey, we can't do that, or I lack empathy in a lot of ways. Just military background.
Get it done. I don't want to say
Exactly.
good job. I want it to be done.
My favorite is I don't want the labor pains. I just want the baby. So what I do is I hire the person that I trust most is the one that stops me. No, you need to be a little nicer here. No, you need to, because I'm creating my culture, but you're going to attract the people that want to follow you, but they're part of your culture. They want to be like you. I'm trying to find somebody that's the exact opposite.
So then you don't hire people ever that you have to emotionally manage. You hire people that can emotionally manage you to a certain degree.
Yes.
If you get off track.
Yes, because I'm very kick the door down, get it done. We'll
execute.
Yes, we'll adjust fire as we go. But I used to say, no, we need to stop, and I get pissed off. I get aggravated. I still do. I still get aggravated. Like, why can't we just do it? There's a process. Why is there a process?
Because you asked me to put one together for you.
There it is. So like one of my good friends, she actually listens to the show. She's out in North Carolina. She is HR.
Okay.
And when I was doing this role, I was a business development type person, but I was leading these calls throughout the country. And she actually sought me back out because she's hard charger, but she's also a mom. She'll be like, Joey, slow it down.
We gotta have some empathy here. We got to have some slowness here. We have to have some moments, right?
She will not take crap. And I love her. Casey, I do love you. She will call me and say, like, I got fired today because I told this dude. I'm like, okay, but then I flip the role on her because I get that leadership role. Well, should you really have done that? Well, you got to understand what happened. And I've lost friends over it because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep, if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, that's insanity.
Yeah, it's also a trauma pattern. It's a trauma pattern that people don't see. That's the craziest part about it.
Well, everybody has trauma.
Everybody has trauma, but nobody wants to be told they have trauma. Nobody will want.
I go to counseling every Wednesday night.
Thank goodness.
I go every Wednesday.
That's so great.
I go twice a week. I go the same day, every Wednesday night.
When do you think I actually did that? Not a time.
I have a good friend of mine. Speaking of that, I have a really good friend of mine. So guys, where you're seeing this couch, it's really wide, so I keep sliding. So that's why we're sitting like this.
Lounging.
Because my feet probably wouldn't touch the ground if I didn't sit like this.
My feet are not touching the ground.
There's the answer. But I have a really good friend. He was married to this girl since high school, and they got divorced. Okay. And I've tried to convince him, dude, go to counseling. He just locked himself in a room, and he still doesn't come out of it. I'm like, dude, I love you so much, and I will say that to a guy. I'm not afraid. I love you so much, dude. Go talk to somebody. Call me. I don't care.
Well, it's not normal though. Like for a lot of these,
it was the love of his life. Like it was the one girl he wanted to die with. But I said, nothing ever happens. I said, you understand, have faith, because I am a very faithful person. Have faith. God will provide. I said, but if God took it away from me, that means there's something else better.
Exactly. And what most people I wish understood about dating is like, you will date someone, and then if you end up breaking up or if that ends up not working out, it's only because there's a better person out there for you. It always up levels every single time. So don't be afraid to like get broken up with. Don't be afraid to like make the wrong
more
choice.
Do your thing, but just don't let it consume your life. Well, that happens in business too. People had one trauma experience.
So attached to that trauma experience.
I don't look, so like a lot of things, I don't look at my company as my baby.
Good.
I look at it as it's a morphing, growing thing. Because if I look at it like my baby, then I'm trying to create what I want.
Too, right?
I don't. I let it go organic.
That's so perfect.
I just had learned. But see, the one good thing that was great about me is I grew up with great leaders in my own family. So If I wanted to know how to do a hard job, I'd call my Uncle Rick. If I needed to do something else, I'd call my Uncle Paul, call my Uncle Jerry. I'd call my grandpa. I would call them. It's like when I started my business, like I did it. They're like, I'll never forget. I called them. I said, Grandma, I filed for my LLC. She goes, "Oh, thank God, you shouldn't be working for anybody else." They created me as a person of not to be that person. Think for yourself. Do your own thing. And I was golfing with my grandmother today, and she's like, I'm so proud of you. She's like, you've done it. I still struggle every day. She goes, but that's part of it.
Part of the whole experience.
But I'm always smiling. Like, Mikey, have you ever seen me not smile? Like, really not smile?
No.
I never not smile. Like, I'm like, today's a good day.
Well, that's what most people tell me too. They're like, you were literally the one thing somebody told me once was she said, I wish you would tell people at the beginning that you're really as nice as you come across. She's like, because most people are nice. She's like, but you are so nice to everybody. She's like, you always have a kind word. You always have a nice thing to say. And I'm like, well, that's because that's really the only way I think that most of us want to be engaged with. We need some kindness.
Do unto others. And I'm a big fan that, like, I'm still, like, when it comes to business, I'm very, very ruthless. That's where rugged ruthless came from, because I hunt and we become very aggressive, because there's the everyday me that smiles and does this, and then there's the day that, hey, I'm going back into battle. And as a soldier, as you know, your ex-husband was, we have a mentality. Once it clicks, it's not, it has to be a switch. It has to go on when you need it, off. And I have that. So I have that, okay, today's the day I go do battle. And then when I'm done with battle, that light switch goes off. I'm like, okay. And I've learned to use that to my benefit, but not consume my life.
You're really good at that. There are a lot of people that aren't.
It's hard, though.
It's real hard, right? Because that's a narrow pathway you've had going on for probably 20, 30 years, right? But thank God you know how to switch it on and off, because I feel like most
I used to not be able to, though. It was like,
how did you figure out how to switch it on and off?
Counseling. Having somebody I trusted to go through all this stuff with. And I still stumble and I still fall and I still go back into bad habits. But I'm smart enough to say, hey, wait, I'm feeling the way I used to feel. The switch is now a dimmer. It's not an on-off. So maybe I need to start finding boundaries to make it.
What do you think most men need more of in this world? Because counseling, for sure, you said, right? But do men need the community? Do they need to have time in nature? Like, what has been really supportive of you outside of the counseling realm that keeps you stable and, like, on your game?
It's respect. And it comes from the household. Because if a man's not happy at home, he won't be happy anywhere else.
And if a man is disrespected at home, he won't be happy anywhere else either.
Well, so I believe that complacency works on both ways. And I study psychology, and I love psychology. My mom was very good at it. One thing that I found is I had a big problem with this saying: if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
I didn't like that saying either.
But I've also been reading a lot, and now our culture has changed where, hey, guys are important too.
Yeah.
I saw this one, I forget the girl's name. I saw it on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever it was. She's like, and the guy was talking to a guy, and she goes, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Because if a dad's not happy, he doesn't say anything. If mom's not happy, everybody's unhappy. That's the reality of that saying.
That's true.
If mom ain't happy, everybody's miserable. But if dad doesn't happy, he smiles and tries to make everybody else happy. I'm a firm advocate of men getting help.
Me too.
I don't care if it's calling a buddy. So I always talk about my 3 o'clock phone call, 3 a.m. phone call. I have one guy, and that's the CEO of my company, because I trust him there. I trust him with my company. I trust him anywhere we go, because he is my 3 a.m. phone call.
Everybody needs a 3 a.m. phone call.
I'm his 3 a.m. phone call. And he's called me like every morning. Ray, I love you. I do. He calls me every morning between 5:45 and 6 a.m. every morning. And some days I don't answer. Like today, he's like, go back to bed. I'm like, you woke me up, dog. Like, I don't get to do it. But
it's the check-in. It's the consistency of the
check-in. It is. And I've had my issues where I call him and said, dude, I'm struggling. And I've broken down with him. He's like, dude, just suck it up. But here's how we're going to get through it. He goes, call your counselor.
Every man needs that, though. I think every man needs a 3 a.m. phone call. They need a counselor. I think one woman will, whether it's platonic or someone you're in a relationship with, that cheers you on. Because
everybody has to have a cheerleader.
Not all the cheerleader. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the things I think most of us miss out on with life is we don't have a platonic cheerleader. Somebody who's literally like there no matter what. It's like, I believe in you. I see you.
But if you build a community and a culture, that's not a problem.
Then it's not a problem. But think of all the people. Not everybody can be a CEO. Not everyone can build a community and culture. Not many people think they're deserving of that community and culture.
I do agree with that, because so my business mentor, his name is Tom Grant. He worked for Women Active with that company I was working for. I was staffing. We were doing this, like all this experimental stuff, and it was hell. And he always said, he goes, I want you to succeed farther than where you're at. But he had to manipulate it too, because everybody was coming down on him. So he's like, we ate a lot of lunches, like where he'd say, whatever you want for lunch. Because when he would do that, we knew hell was coming. Whether it was that day or was later. But he would always say, okay, we're doing it together. And he would stay with us. Even though he had his own family, he could have left. He always stuck with
See, I
us.
love that. I love the people that stay with you in all the hard stuff.
Well,
Because I think we're always going to have hard stuff in life. And most of us, I think we assume we're going to have to do it alone. That's sort of the assumption in the back of the subconscious brain. Like, oh, I don't know if anyone's going to show up for me. I don't know if this is going to work out.
well, I always think as a kid, because you never lose that from a kid. Say you're doing your school play, you're always looking in the crowd to find that one person. And throughout your whole life, I studying it, everybody's looking for that one person, whether it be a platonic friend or like Casey, the one that was in North Carolina. Her and her husband, he owns his own business. She's HR. If I call and say, hey, I need a question about something, she goes, oh, baby, I got you. She with that cool Southern accent. She always stops and she'll call me and say, I need help. Okay, what do you need help with? But she's always been my cheerleader, and I've never met her in person.
What?
Never met her.
You guys would meet in person. This is
I don't know. When she needs something, she calls me. When I need something, I follow.
awesome indeed, though, to like hug her in person after all the things you guys have been
The
through.
worst part is, so my aunt lives in Davidson, North Carolina, and she lives like 20 minutes away. And I've never visited my aunt in North Carolina.
You gotta make some trips, my friend.
I am. I'm going to St. Augustine. I'm going to Dublin. So when I take trips, I take trips to take a step back.
Yeah, me too.
So I just came back from Florida. It was a great week. And I didn't, other than a little bit of work, I did just very little. I just thought, I didn't want to do work because the biggest thing that a lot of CEOs do is they consume themselves with the job.
Very true.
They don't take a break. I tried to take a break. I didn't book the trip. I didn't I wanted to go, but at the time I was like, I got all this stuff to do. I was forced to take the break, and I appreciate that. So thanks, Jamie. I had to take the break, and it was a lot of work, but it was a work. It was good work, because I believe there's tedious work and there's work to move towards a goal. I don't do that busy work at all, and I refuse to. It's not that somebody doesn't need to do it. I will get in the trenches and do it, but at some point it's like, when do I get to step out of it? And that's a lot of problems that CEOs have. Well, I've already done this hard work, so I don't have to do it anymore.
Or they jump back in when their team's handling it really well because they think their team's about to.
Micromanagement. I cannot stand micromanagement.
Happens a lot.
If things aren't moving forward, I have been told I will micromanage, but I do it in a leadership capacity. Like, okay, this is the goal. Where are we at with everything? But then just do it. Figure out your way to do it, because guess what? The way I do it may not be right. My mama, still to this day, has always told me, be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
I do like that, because what I found with a lot of these companies is the biggest thing I find with a lot of companies, yeah, I know, I was too. The contingency planning is not a skill that most people have. So you might be amazing contingency planning, right? Like, I think you see things that are coming before other people do, and you're like, hey, we planned for this, we thought this through. But you probably have, as I've met most CEOs or entrepreneurs, they all have this ability contingency plan that their entire team does not have. And so what I've asked is, I'm like, can you ask every single member of your team to come to you with, here are 3 solutions? And then you help them figure out what's the best solution of those 3, instead of just being like, well, what do you think you should do? Because most of the time, we don't ever get trained on how to contingency plan unless you're in the military. So
and see, I never had that problem. I would always say, hey guys, what do you see the problem being?
Right.
Because like whenever I had a problem with like production, so I was in recycling, and we had like machines and everything, and I'd go to the guys, what do you see being the problem? I'm not the one doing the day-to-day work.
No, we
So
ask them, and they've got to come up with the solution. You can't be the one ordering them to follow a solution.
I would just tell them what to do for the day. I'd say, hey, we need to get A and B done.
Right.
And I would just walk away.
And then they figure out, how are we solving this? Then they're enrolled in the process and they feel like they own it.
Yeah, well, also too, I also say, okay, where's the holdups? Like,
where's this gonna break?
Well, not even that. Be like, okay, so we need to get from here to here, and there's 4 steps. Where is the holdup in that 4 steps? And I would focus on that problem while they continue to work through it.
Yes.
So I'd say, okay, we have a problem here. This machine's running slow, but we need to change the blades. Okay, here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna move it to this machine while we fix this one, so we can come back to it without stopping the process.
But you're amazing at contingency planning because you've had time in the military, and that's what they teach you. In normal day-to-day, like, you could never have said to one of those guys, hey, you figure out how we're going to move these glades. because they wouldn't have been able to do it the way you would have. You see the answer so quickly because you know how to contingency plan. You've been doing it your whole life. I think that's one of the biggest assets of having any man who comes out of the military. Typically, you guys are so good at that. And that's why, like, if I have a chance, I would want to hire someone who's former military because I just know they're going to lead differently. They're going to understand how to manage people differently. And more often than not, they're going to be able to be contingency planning experts, which is what more companies need.
That is the truth, because also too, one of the things I would always say, the worst veteran is better than any college kid, because a college kid is about the process. The military guy is about streamlining the process safely and efficiently. And I hire both. I'm not going to say I'm not picky, but veterans preference. I would prefer a veteran, because the worst soldier would still be one of my best employees, because they already have the structure that I'm used to, and the dialogue, no matter what branch it is. Yes, but I'd go to somebody and say, hey, I need you to execute this and get it done. They know that's priority one, not, well, I had to do this. And I've dealt with it both ways. And
I feel too like military people that come out of that experience, they know how to prioritize better than people that have never had military experience.
well, what we call is looking at the field.
Yeah.
And how we would say it is, hey, are you looking at the field? Are you looking at what you're doing? I'm looking at the field, which means we're okay. I know this is important, but I'm also seeing the 5 other places it needs to be. So they automatically prep for that. And I've only had one non-military guy. His name was Yvonne. He saw the world that way because he was working 3 jobs at a time.
Very good.
But he was working at one, and then I guess he was working at another company where the product was leaving, and he was going to work at after it was completed because he was looking for another job. He saw, and he was probably one of the best people I've ever seen with it.
But that's very rare. That's not something you see all the time.
He just liked to work. He's like me though. So I get told all the time, I'm trying to take your stress off you. But the thing is, my stress from working in my company is what's made me happy. I don't look at stress. Stress dealing with people. One of the biggest PTSD moments that I've ever had is coming out of the military and working with people that have never been. Like, most soldiers and veterans, they don't realize that is a trauma that you have to deal with. You come out and you're high speed, low drag. And some guys like, yeah, and I've said this, I'll never forget, I was doing a job and this manager was younger than me, but telling me what to do. Now that already is a problem, because I believe that military people don't get enough credit when they come out for all the stuff they've learned. Oh, well, you did 5 years, but this person went 4 years in college. I'm thinking, I learned 20,000 million more things than you did. And they'll hire the person who went to college over some of this military. And I'll never forget, and I said this on one of my other podcasts, this lady, the toilet was clogged. And I mean, I'm young. I said, I'm not going to clean the fucking toilet. I'm not doing that. And I walked off the job. Because it wasn't that it was beneath me. It's just like, wait a minute here. I'm having some manager that's literally drinking Starbucks telling me to go clean the toilet. Oh, you're military, you can deal with it. Because people use that as, oh, you've done this stuff before. It's like, so that was one.
That was disrespectful, though.
But you'd be surprised why soldiers feel like they don't feel like they're in the world is because of people that treat them like that.
I also think it's because, in the world of everything you've been through, there's such a brotherhood. There's so much loyalty there. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you both did training the same thing, but that person is not going to let you down if they can help it.
Yeah.
In the real world, you have to, and I hate to use this phrase because I watch my ex-Navy SEAL husband go through it all the time. He's like, why am I blowing smoke up people's asses to get them to the bare minimum? He's like, I don't understand it. I just say good job to everybody, even though they're doing next to nothing. He's like, how do we work this differently? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. In this world, which is not the military world, you have to people about good job. You have to be diplomatic. You have to have some level of empathy to a certain degree. I know you do. Here's the great thing. You've circumvented that with the businesses that you create so that you don't have to play by those rules. That's why
I hire somebody that's totally different.
Exactly. So they can,
or trust somebody that's totally different, because they'll say, okay, you can't do it that way.
which is good, which is better to have somebody to be like, hey, don't do it this way. Maybe consider doing it that way. At least it's an interruption of the pattern, I think.
Well, we always say false motivation leads to real motivation, because if you keep faking it, fake the funk, you keep doing it, and eventually it becomes that. So if I let somebody do it long enough, I do start to draw those patterns in. I do realize that patterns are made to be broken, but there also is a structure that comes with pattern that you have to stay in. So I'm like, okay, where do I feel comfortable? I'm an out of the box thinker. The box is nowhere near where I want it to be, because I don't want to think, but I've dealt with people that I would say, well, I'm an out of box thinker. I said, yeah, but you're pushed right up against it. You'll have your hand against it. I know people, but there's also people in the world, and one thing I always try to say, there's already people in the world. Some people are designed to be workers. They're worker bees. That's all they're designed.
Absolutely.
Some people are designed to be managers, middle management, and that's as far as they're ever going to go, and they're happy with it. And there's people like me that have already, when I'm creating something, the dream was already there. Does that make sense? Like I've already systematically thought through it, how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to start it, and then now it's time to execute. Just like a good battle plan. I'm already thinking how to do it, look at the variables, look at the scenarios. How's this going to be good? How's it going to be bad? What's it going to do to my family? What is it? And that's okay. And then
You're not going to take action until you've done all that thing.
exactly.
But no, like normally people don't do any of that. They're just like, oh, it sounds like a good idea. I'm going to do it without any due diligence, without any contingency planning, without any thought process. That's why I like working with military guys, because they will not bring something up unless they have already pretty much bulletproofed it in their mind, which makes me super happy.
Yeah, but the problem with the military mentality is too, a lot of times they won't take it if somebody says no when it comes to that. If they've done all that planning, I struggle with that too. It's like, okay, I've got this and this. I can see where this is happening. I've got all the pieces, and I call it playing checkers and chess. I'm playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. I'm not trying to skip that one. I'm looking 5 moves ahead. And a lot of the big issue that I have is I struggle with being told no, because by the time I do all that planning and I'm bringing it up, now I've got it in my head. I've done all the variables. I've done everything that go wrong, could go right, how it's going to advance. And so it says, well, I don't like that idea.
Well, but
And I struggle with that. I say, okay, I don't argue it most of the time though, but I have been
lately.
lately.
Here's the way to get around that if you want. What that means though is just that you have not enrolled them enough in the conversation. So you haven't connected enough emotionally with them to get on track with your way of thinking. I know this is a little strange.
No, I understand that, and I agree with that. But the problem is sometimes people say, because I'm so high speed, low drag, so I have been told, people have come to me and said, we're just scared to say something to you. And they do.
You need people to do that for you.
That's why
Introvert other people. That's why you got to hire people that are like that. Like I think it'd be fun to work with you because I would just be like, hey, I don't know if you've thought about this. Have you thought about this? And if you were like, yeah, I thought about it. Brrr, you're like, oh, great. I'm glad we had this conversation, right? But I would know that that's the better way to go up to you and have that conversation than to just.
It's about the approach. I agree. It's about the approach too. When somebody says, well, I don't like that, it's like, okay, but then it comes back to what you were saying earlier. I'm like, okay, well, what is the solution to the problem then?
Yeah.
Because when I'm bringing it up, I do talk to my people. Like I'm always like, okay, what do you think of this? And they're like, no. Okay. And then a couple days later, I'll bring it back up. They just washed it out of their head. And I'm like, okay, I'm still waiting for the solution. Where is this solution? And that's my biggest problem, is that when I do bring somebody in or take care of somebody, like throughout my whole career, if I'm asking, that means there's a reason behind it. It doesn't mean that it disappears because you said no, or doesn't mean that it's not something that's going to come up later. And I come back like, well, I didn't think of it. Well, but in my mind,
Elicit a solution from them, right?
it's like, okay, so, but I asked you what you thought. You said no. And I said, okay, well, what do you think? And then you don't give me an answer.
You need
That drives me up the wall. Like I will lose it. I have to complete the circuit. And my brain works circular.
Yeah.
Thoughts create actions, our thoughts create emotions, emotions create actions. So therefore it's the circle. It's the circle that all habits are built from, all things done. That is psychological.
So do people know now that if you come up to them and you give them an idea, that they can turn around and say, instead of no, like, hey, here's what I'm thinking about that. Here's why. And then you guys are back in a good dialogue? Because I feel like for you, you just want to close the loop.
That's it. I just want to close the loop. Well, what do you think about this? No, I think this and this. Okay, why do you think that?
Why do you think that?
Who, what, when, where, why?
And once you have that, then you can move forward.
I'm like, okay, well, I'll look at the perspective at that point. I'll say, okay, let me go back and rework into me. And the way I tell everybody, it's like, I always look at, in my vision and the way I do things is like Iron Man. All the stuff's up on the screen. I'm looking at all of it. But the way my brain works is now I'm taking in all that information to create a solution. That's why you had all the panel up, because I'm looking around and everything is all over.
And you're also looking for anyone who can tell you something that you haven't thought about.
Yeah.
Right? And if they have thought about something relevant, then you're like,
that's why I raised my COO, because like, well, wait a minute here. What about this and this? But he's also earned 20 plus years knowing him. He also knows how I work. He is very similar, but he's also very different. He'll say, well, I know he has this. He goes, well, I know what I said was totally wrong. I trust him enough. Okay. I like what you did here, but maybe when he says that, everything gets reworked, because I'm like, okay, because he's looking at it from a different perspective.
And you need to take the perspective into mine.
Exactly. Because like I always say, my way might not be the right way, but it's some way. It means we're going in a direction. I can take other stuff, and like I'm not empathetic, but I'm also very suggestible. Like, Joey, well, what if we do this and this, or what if we do this and this? Well, now I've entered that into the new equation, and I'm like, okay, and it starts spitting out new stuff. I'm not. You're doing this way. This is how it's going to be.
But I can see how some people would think that that's how you're going to be because you have a very like dominant personality.
No.
Very dominant personality. And you come across as like someone who's like, I know where I'm going. I'm getting there fast. So I think it's an intimidation factor for some people.
I always say we're not on a highway in a fucking bike path. I said we're supposed to be going the same direction at the same speed, but I tend to be looking back like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, because you're in like a
But I'm a hard charger.
you're in a Ferrari, and everybody else is like in a pickup truck trying to race you.
Hey, I like my TRX. It'll beat the lot of the Ferrari. I like that thing.
I'm just saying, like, but I can see from everything you're saying how you need people to meet you in that conversation.
I say, that's how meet me halfway. Meet me halfway.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the full solution, but if I'm asking, I want you to. I'm asking our
Ask the
input.
person to pick it apart a little bit and to give you some feedback.
I can take criticism. I can take criticism.
Yep.
I've done a lot of things where someone say, well, why don't we just do this? I'm like, you know what? And sometimes I am very impulsive with it. I'll think about it for a minute. Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So like, are you serious? Get it done.
Yeah.
Well, how do you want me to do it? I don't know. It was your idea. Figure it out. Like I don't need you to do it for me. I think that a lot of people and a lot of guys get trapped in, like when they get home and stuff like that. Like the one's like, I do this for you, and they get told constantly. I mean, it's okay. Some guys can live that way. I'm not a beta, so I'm an alpha every step of the way. But sometimes it's just like, can I just not think of things for a while? Can I just not think? Because I will burn myself out. I call myself the meteor. Once I start burning, I burn hot, I burn hard, and I burn fast. But when I'm done,
you're done.
Done. And then my son's like, Dad, can we play Fortnite? I love that kid. But he knows exactly the worst time to ask me a question. But I think he's smart, but actually I think he's really cunning with
He's
it.
7, right?
He's 7.
So, okay. I've had 8 and 11-year-olds, so.
Okay, so he's 7, and he like I'll show you a picture offline. My grandmother, and then took a picture. There's 2 inches difference.
Oh my gosh, he can talk. Or your grandmother's real short.
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both. But he knows. At first, I thought he was just doing it to annoy me. No, he just figured out when to ask me when he knew I was going to say yes. Mm-hmm. He watches because I like when I'm working, I'll see him poke his head out like this. He's like,
he wants to know if you're churning and burning. Or
he is. He does. And then as soon as I'm done, like I'll close something. I'm like, okay, I can take a break. Dad, I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
He's ready.
He has got it down to a science.
They're dialed. Like my children, the second they know that I have to take a phone call, if it's like a day that I'm working, they'll literally be like, Mommy, we're going to go do this. Is that okay? And they'll ask so sweetly and so quick.
Yeah, that's wasn't go for it.
It's fine. Go for it. And then I realize later, I'm like, there's an underlying agenda here. I got to be more aware of this.
Well, see, my ex-wife, she's very driven. And I give her credit. Like, her and I don't really get along all that well, but I'll give her respect. She is driven. She is good at what she does. He's got a little bit of both. So he knows when to do stuff. He'll be like, he'll leave you alone. And I'll get on the phone because I hate talking on the phone. I hate doing emails. I hate doing face-to-face. Like, I just, it's really weird, but it's.
So what do you like doing then? You don't like face-to-face?
Golfing. No, I'd say.
And talking or just golfing?
Generally, my thing is the way I communicate, and Mikey can tell you this, he can test. I text and I don't want to talk.
Oh.
Like, I'll talk on this, but I'll text, say, hey, we're meeting at this and this time. And to me, I give you all the information. I don't want to answer to it. Like, I'm just bad about it.
But that's because you're trying to close the loop. You just want the loop to be closed so you can move on to the next thing.
Mikey's figured that out. He's gotten good at it.
Yeah, but it's a big deal because a lot of people don't know. If you're working with a guy who's former military, they need to close the loop. So you can't leave all these open loops because it'll drive you nuts.
Well, and I used to say that I read this someplace. I forget where I read it. Women is a ball of string, men are a series of drawers. And what he means is everything that a woman does throughout the day gets intertwined with everything else they're doing. I'm a series of drawers. Men, we got to cut the grass. They open the drawer, cut the grass, and shut the drawer. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, and I forget what it was on. The guy's like, but the one box that the man wants to go to the most is the nothing box. We want to think about nothing. We want to do nothing. We just want to zone out. And I related really American Sniper. When Chris Kyle was sitting there on the TV, the kids, everybody's running. He's staring at the TV, has a beer in his hand. I'm like, I know that feeling because I'm not there. I just want to be someplace else. So like, it's just like I zone out.
Yeah.
The problem is once I engage, I'm engaged. When I don't want to, I zone out. Like I did it yesterday. I can't tell you what I was watching on TV. I couldn't tell you what time it was. And my son was there, and I remember him asking me a question. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's fine. I heard what he said. I comprehend. It's not like I'm in another world. And I thought about that Chris Coffey where they have where he's sitting there and he's got the beer in his hand, the snacks on the TV, the kids are running, and he's just staring.
I remember that.
I relate to that. It's like I don't know where I was at, but it was only like 3 minutes, and I felt refreshed afterwards. I literally sat there, I was just like, I zone out, and I don't do.
To turn and burn in those moments.
Well, it's just a break. It's like I'm refueling. It's like, hey, we're refueling mid-flight.
It'd be interesting to look into like what you are as your human design. Have you ever heard of human design?
So I did. So I'm innovative. I did a bunch of them.
But do you know if you're like a manifesting generator, a projector?
I manifest. So what I do. So what I do is when I think of it, I make it happen. So I manifest it. So I think I'm gonna do it, and then it's there.
And are you aware though that the more you rest, the more you manifest?
Yes, but I'm really bad insomniac. It runs in my family. So I average about 2.5 to 4 hours a night. That's it.
Would you like to change that?
Oh, actually, I feel great afterwards. Like I actually feel rested.
You
Yeah.
don't feel like you need more sleep or anything
No.
like that. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, I'm a 12 to 16 hour guy a day, and that's how I roll.
Okay.
Every now and again, though, I'll hit the wall. Like I'll start getting tired, and I know it's coming, and then I'll go to bed like 5 o'clock and sleep till like 7 the next morning. I'll get up to go to the bathroom because I'm getting old now. Bladder's not as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, that happens.
I have one of my good friends. Well, it was my ex-wife's good friend. Every time she laughs, she pee. I'm like, do you ever have to go to the bathroom? Because we'd hang out and I make her laugh all the time.
You gotta be so careful with that with going home with my kids. It's just
Hey, look, I'm not judging. She would laugh so hard, she would go. And you know what she would do? I'll be back. I got to the point where we were all friends. I mean, when you get that close to somebody, it doesn't matter. Like, I got to go to my buddy's house in Oklahoma. And it used to be where everything we claimed, like, we don't care. Just come inside. There's your room. I sleep in a pink bed in a pink room with pink lights.
That's perfect for you.
It's rugged and Ruthless.
Go on, who cares?
So what else you want to talk about? We can keep talking. We got this into 2 episodes. I really don't care. It's a one-shot deal. Like I said, we just go through.
Oh gosh, I was trying to think. What are? I think we've covered a lot of really good stuff so far.
How you like Missouri?
It's really way too hot for me right now.
You came at like the only time.
It's crazy to me. Like the only time I come out here, it is so hot you can barely go outside.
Yeah, so that's why we're here. Exactly. That's why we're on the back of the truck. So where are you from?
I'm from Michigan originally, but I went to school in DC, Georgetown, and then I basically bopped all over as I was building 3 different companies with my ex-husband. We were trying to figure out.
Now, do you still own those with your ex-husband?
No, we got a divorce and
split them.
That was taken or removed or passed.
Are you guys good now at least?
Well, yeah. I mean, he and I think the thing that I've realized is, when you're married to someone who has a different way of thinking, because he is Asperger. So when you marry someone like that, again, no empathy, right? So I had to learn a lot of his rules because there are a lot of rules. And
we don't call them rules, we call them boundaries.
Oh, I know, but they're rules that other people have to follow, right? So
I mean, you just actually just something clicked on me because somebody once told me, and she would tell me all the time, it was an ex, and she would say, you have too many rules. I call them boundaries, but I guess now that you say that, that's not the first time I've heard that in my life.
They're rules, and they're rules that you abide by, and they're really helpful for you to say in a really great, smart pattern in your brain. That's really hard for anybody else to meet you because we don't know the rules, and you don't tell us the rules.
That just changed something in perspective that I never thought of. The way you just put that actually just literally clicked a light bulb in my head when you said that, because I was told by one of my exes that you have too many rules, you make too many rules. I'm like, no, they're just boundaries. She's like, no, they're rules. She would keep telling me they're rules. And you're the first person that's ever said, even with counseling, you're the first person that said, oh, you have too many rules. But we're, as military, we're structured.
You are very structured. Yeah.
Get up in the morning.
The structure helps. The structure works.
Exactly.
It keeps you in the right track. But all I'm saying is, as a woman who's watched a man live through that way of thinking, if I can't live by or follow all those rules, it's really hard to be in a relationship. And so, like, that was the thing that really made it difficult for my ex-husband and I, because, like, he had all these rules. And even now we're in the middle of a conversation about a rule that I broke, that he's like, well, this is a really important rule. I'm like, is it? I never even thought that was an important rule. In my head, things change over 4 years.
You just a light bulb just went off because I've never heard anybody other than this one person say that.
Well, this is why it's happening, because you needed this light bulb for a reason.
Well, it's because my mom was in the military.
Okay.
She was a interrogator.
My ex-husband.
She was MI, so she was
Yep.
military. I was raised in that. She was an officer. I was raised that way. Not now that like just like a whole pillar of my wall just fell because I'm like, that makes so much sense. Like literally just like all of a sudden it's like fireworks went off in my head. I was like, oh wow. Like because somebody had told me that says you're just all about the rules. And she said it all the time. But these aren't rules.
What do you mean? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, to me, it was just not comprehending the rules. Like she's like, you have so many rules. And to me, they were just the way I live my life. Wow, that's literally was an epiphany moment. Like I was like, I've never heard it called it that because I think it's just boundaries in my head. But I grew up with it. So I grew up. My mom had those rules, and now that you said that, I was like, that's why I was always breaking rules with my mom because I didn't know what they were.
I didn't know what the rules were.
And now I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. And people want to be in a relationship with you, like in a very deep level, because you're a great person, but it's really hard for them because there's so many rules and they don't understand the rules and you don't really explain the rules sometimes.
Well, sometimes we don't know what the rules
I have
are.
no idea what the rules are.
We just know they're there.
You know, they're there. Or you know, like, if this, then this, then this. Like, he had formulas for everything. And what I realized all of a sudden was I'm like, I'm not playing by your formula because I'm not how your brain works.
It's essentially like saying, you're taking math and you're failing the test, but I didn't know what math I was supposed to study.
I didn't know
I agree with that.
this was geometry, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know this was geometry class.
That's just crazy because now that you said that, it just like literally like it was just like a screen went off. Like, oh, there it is. There's the fireworks. Huh. Because I actually, like she said, she would always say to me, you have too many rules.
And so one of the things I would tell you, this will help you on this, right? So I started telling you, I'm like, you're thinking so many things in your head that you never share aloud with me, but you think you shared them with me. So I'm like, what I need you to do is I need you to just assume, dude, I already know. Because when you're in a relationship with someone too, that close, you assume that they're like you. And it's almost like it's a disconnect that happens over and over again and you don't really realize it until you're too far apart. But I told him, like, I need you to speak out loud everything you think you've already told me. I'm like, so if I ask you a bunch of questions, speak it out loud as often as you can.
She would always say, explain it to me.
I mean,
she would say, explain it to me. She goes, please explain. She goes, I don't agree with it, but I understand where you feel that way. And I just said, well, this is how I am. And that was me being a condescending asshole. Because not because I meant to be.
No, you didn't.
But it's how I was raised. This is how, I mean, I grew up my mom was very structured. Yeah. We are never late. When I say do something, you do it. She was military. So then I joined the military. So I kept the pattern going.
Yes, you did.
And then as I've gotten older, I've also learned that I need to start letting things go.
Because some of the rules keep you out of connection.
Oh, I see. I do still think I have a lack of connection. Yeah. I've been working on it, but like I've always, the way other people have perceived love, I never perceived it that way.
Can I give you a rule for connection that's going to maybe blow your mind?
What?
Okay, so this is a rule that my ex-husband and I came up with because he was like, you please teach me how you connect with people. Because he's like, I know that's a gap. I don't have it. I don't really care. I have low empathy. He's like, and I'm probably not as connected with you as I should be, but because I have no rule.
But they are in a deep way, but they just don't know it.
A deep way, but they don't know it.
I've learned that actually.
Yeah. So he and I came up with this fact that connection, if you want to create connection, it has to be authenticity plus trust plus vulnerability.
See, soldiers don't trust very well outside of our circle.
They don't. And so the key with trust, though, is you have to give trust first, which is not what anybody wants.
You see my face when I said that? Like, it didn't mean that to me, but I was like...
Giving that to you, though, because, like, this is the biggest thing. If you can actually offer trust first, be authentically you, which you're very good at being, right?
Yeah,
and
I try.
Vulnerable and be willing to be like, maybe I don't know.
Soldiers don't show vulnerability. We are the vulnerability. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we take everybody else's.
I know, but here's the thing. If you want deep connection with like someone in your life that can truly love you for exactly who you are, and this is why you have a differing understanding of love. But if you want that, you have to be willing to get very vulnerable and show yourself to others in that way.
I'll work on that, but that's not something I can do overnight.
Of course not. Nobody can do it overnight.
I mean, that's why I talked to my counselor, and he's like, okay, what have you done that was nice for somebody? Because like, I am a nice, caring person, but I do lack empathy. Like, I'm very terrible with empathy. My mom doesn't have empathy.
Well, that might be because you're a little bit on the spectrum. Who knows, right? Like some people, we're all on the spectrum in a different way, right? Like all of us have different brains, but I feel like when you lack empathy, it's because the rules have made you feel safe and human connection has not.
You are not wrong. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I do like human connection. I'm don't like to be touched.
Well, yeah.
I don't like to be hugged. I don't like, and I've never been that way.
But none of that is safe for you, right? None of that would feel safe because people touch and there's no rule to how they touch. Or
Well, I also have nerve damage, so it kind of hurts sometimes. So I have really bad nerve damage. That came from the
there's some
army.
PTSD from that as well happening, right?
Well, I had
Yeah.
I had broken my arm, and I ended up getting reflex sympathetic dystrophy and peripheral neuropathy. So sometimes touch actually hurts.
Yeah.
So it actually, and I talked to my counselor about it, becomes negative.
Yes, it does.
Like even when it doesn't really hurt, the touching part becomes negative. And because I'm like, okay, is it gonna hurt or is it not? I'd rather just not find out. So I understand where that's coming from. I'm trying to get better, but it's also, I can wake up days I can't cut my own steak. I can't pick up a gallon of milk. I can't play catch with my kids. So there's a lot more negative than positives come with it. So I do understand that, but that lack of empathy doesn't help it.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like I don't, when I look at people, I don't look at people like, oh, I really like that person. I mean, you're very nice and I'm very kind. I mean, I do understand what it is, and I feel it to a certain extent, but then there's a point where it's just the bottom. I hit the bottom. That's it. I'm good with it. And that's not good to form connections. I've been told that by my counselor. Thanks, Al, by the way, all the time. Like you need to form more connections. Start creating positive memories, which then create positive connections. Anything that was negative, go redo it again. Like I do that sometimes. Like if I went on a trip that I loved, but it was miserable with somebody, I'll go redo the trip and make memories. Yeah, and make the new memories to erase the old ones. Because in order to make to make good memories, you have to erase the old ones, because your brain will forget about that. You might associate with it, but you'll remember the closest thing that's to you. Study the human brain.
I love this. I mean, I think that was like a really big breakthrough just in that moment.
Yeah, because that makes sense though, because you use the word rules. I said we call them boundaries. Like no, they're rules, and you were not wrong. They are rules. Because it's not that there's certain rules I won't break.
Yep.
But that's my wall, and in the wall I protected because I needed that wall.
There you go. Because it kept you safe.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also too that it's not even, it's about comfort. Little kid comfort inside of me still. Like, I'm not going to risk that little kid because it took me a long time to find them.
Have you done a lot of like inner child work then?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah, so I do counseling twice a week. So I do once with my personal counselor and I do group.
Do you do any like nervous system calming?
Oh, yeah, I have to, because with my nerve damage, I had to learn how to do it.
How bad is your nerve damage?
Pretty bad.
Like 9 out of 10? 8 out of 10?
I would say it's probably about 8.5 to 9.
Okay.
On the right side.
I want to tell you one thing about this. So my ex-husband had massive nerve damage issues. He was post 18, 19 different surgeries, right? But he was in so much pain he slept maybe 45 minutes a night, which is not what you have, right?
Well, the pain does, if I hit my arm all night, it does wake me up. So there is something.
There's something that. Well, I found a company about 7 years ago, and I took him out, spent a bunch of money to help him get through some of this stuff. But his nerve damage pain was at a 9 out of 10. He was maybe sleeping 45 minutes a night, and he had such an adrenalized response to stuff, but the skin was like falling off of his hands and feet.
Mine turns blue. Mine turns blue and swells.
Okay.
My right side will turn blue.
So I will tell you this because when I took him out there, they put like one spoonful of this stuff in his mouth, and all of his color came back. His nerve pain went from 9 out of 10 to a 2. And literally, he went through a couple of different things with them, but he's sleeping better. He doesn't have the same nerve pain anymore. Like it's a dramatic shift. And it's one.
And I won't do drugs or anything. Mine has to be natural. So like
it's all organic. It's all based on what your body naturally does to heal itself, but you need a little bit of a reminder. So I just tell you this because I feel like this could be really big for you, and I want you to have the opportunity to look into it if you want. So
yeah, I mean we can talk about it. Yeah, I mean I don't have a problem trying anything. I did the weed. Yeah, I did the weed thing for a while. That didn't really work. It numbed it, but it didn't make it better because it actually got worse when I would come out of it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't take aspirin. I don't take anything. They actually, the Army actually prescribed me Oxycontin, and I did it for a little bit. I said I'm not doing anymore. I won't even, other than omeprazole for my stomach, because all soldiers have omeprazole. Gotta have it. And that's all I'll take. I don't take, unless I'm sick, I'll take, what is that stuff called? Mucinex. And that's it. Yeah. I don't take Tylenol.
Because all this stuff is all organic. It's all natural. It's just literally after people saw what had happened with my ex, they called me and they're like, what did you do? I'm like,
yeah, we'll exchange numbers or whatever it needs to do. And you can, because I do need something to sleep.
And I think it'll change your whole.
Well, the connection thing comes from a deeper problem that I'm working through with my counselor. It comes from well beyond.
We don't have to talk about that. I'm just.
No, it's fine. It's just one of those things where my family's just not touchy feely.
Yeah.
We're communicators vocally, but we are not that. Give me a hug, give me a kiss. We're not those people. We never have been.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be for.
I'm a communicator. Yeah. everything. I'm innovative and I communicate.
I
Like,
think your communication style, if you can think in your head about what your rules are around communication that makes you feel connected, that's a way to get into connection without having to do it in the way that a counselor might tell you to do it.
well, my counselor is actually pretty cool. He's more the biblical style, and because I live in faith, so he's more of like when I was going to think that was always great. That was always great. But he's also like, you have to do what works for you. There's no one right way to get to the right solution. He said there's not one. He goes, if I tell you one doesn't work, let's go to another one. He goes, if this doesn't work, we'll keep trying until we find something that starts the process. And he's very good about it. He's not about do it this way. I had a couple military ones I tried, and they're like, you're gonna do it this way. And I'm like, fuck you, no, I'm not.
Well, the thing I like about those,
Just don't.
yeah, and I hear you on that completely because everyone has their own journey. But the thing I like about this stuff is that the people that developed it are very faith-based, right?
Good.
And so for me, that was a big thing. I'm like, it needed to be faith-based, it needed to be organic, it needed to be something that my body is being reminded to do naturally. So I just think for you, insomnia, they've dealt with a ton of times. I just had a couple fly out to do this work with them, and this woman literally could not fall asleep at night and didn't sleep for 4 days straight before she showed up. She's sleeping now 9 hours a night.
See that? And see, I don't, my problem isn't falling asleep.
It's staying
It's
asleep.
actually mine is turning my brain off. But I've learned how to do it.
I'm gonna make you a bet right now that this stuff
Okay.
is gonna change the game so dramatically for you. That
No,
you're
where do you live now?
well, right now I'm in Utah.
Utah.
But you're
Mike, have you ever been to Utah?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe you actually have been. So I will take this. I will try it. If it works, I will fly to you. We'll do another show this set.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to go to Boston because Boston's where they have the stuff.
Boston is my favorite place in the entire world. Well, one of them, St. Augustine, Florida. But Boston, I just went there like last October. And I'm a history guy. Most military
the
guys.
history in Boston is
Oh,
amazing.
Oh my god!
I set up history tours. I do all of it.
I literally.
You see the RFK museum? Did you go to that?
No, I wanted.
You said the-
I was in the revolutionary stage.
Okay.
So I like to. I have once I'm on it, I have to stay on it. I can't because if not, it's not walking
around in history.
No, so I saw Boston when the revolution started. I'm gonna go to Philadelphia so I can see what the Declaration. I finished up the Civil War part of my brain by last year in Gettysburg.
Gettysburg is amazing.
It's so creepy.
The whole thing, like I went.
Did you notice when you drive in there? There's no birds or anything. Like it just stops.
It does.
It's creepy.
And not only that, like I went to all the different major Civil War battlefields when I was in 8th grade. I just felt love.
Oh, you were in Washington D.C.
But I was grew up in Michigan. It was a DC trip that took us all on as 8th graders, which was pretty incredible. But like the weirdest thing was every single battlefield you go to has the same feeling.
Oh, so when we were pulling up, so I drove from here to St. Louis.
Feel it.
And about half an hour, I'm like, I know I'm getting close. And all of a sudden I got this wrenching pain in my stomach. Like it was insane. And all of a sudden, like 2 minutes, I look over and there's a battlefield. And it was like, I was in pain. I knew I was getting there before I was there. But I also believe that soldiers always connect to soldiers.
You 100%.
Because I always
Souls. We're connected to each other.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer though that like if I'm in a bar, I can always spot one out before I even realize that they're there. Like if I go somewhere, it's like, oh, they're a soldier. You can. I don't know if it's just the way they present themselves.
Feel the energy.
Exactly. Well, and you also come up to and be like, all right, I know this dude, and you could say it. And I've actually done this where I've gone up to talk to somebody or sat next to him, and those rude people, and then I stop talking to him. You're a soldier, so am I. And next, you know, boom, we're best friends. We're hanging out. Here's my number. We're having a barbecue next week, and everyone's like, nobody. He never talked to anybody. It's clear that works.
Well, it's because you guys have a brotherhood that goes way beyond.
Yeah.
That's why I think sometimes the entrepreneurial world is so hard for guys who have been former military.
Brotherhood.
There's no brotherhood. No brotherhood.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart. And all I try to do whenever I go in and create a team with people, or I try to coach the team, I'm like, we need brotherhood here. We need to build it together. And we have to figure out what it looks like. Everybody has a different definition. If you have military guys on your team, we have to build this. Otherwise, none of them will stay.
Well, a lot of them also, the one thing I love about them is when things get tough, they'll take the lead. You don't have to ask them to. They just instinctively do it.
One of the things I'm doing, because I've had a lot of opportunity to like reshift the patterning in the brains of like high level elite military guys, is I'm pulling together something called the Warriors Lighthouse. And this is where, and I'm going to get this funding for it. It's $45,000 per person to go out and do this brain reset stuff that I'm talking to you about, right? But I'm bringing it together with a couple of different business owners because they want to be able to basically have the company fund each elite soldier that is, you know, going through some tough shit to sort of bond as the CEO with that person, be there to support them as they, you know, incubate their business idea, but also as they work on their brain.
I realize sometimes too, from CEO's perspective,
Yeah.
business is business. So, I agree with that. I think what you're saying is right. But I think a lot sometimes CEOs hire them for that instinct, and we don't want to reset it either.
Well, no, they do, but it's not that you're resetting the instinct. You're not resetting the.
But sometimes that drive, though, I mean, I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate. Sometimes that drive
That's whenever
is what makes or breaks something.
everyone is afraid that you're going to lose your drive if you do this work.
That's why guys pull up rules. I say boundaries.
Yeah.
That's why guys have rules, because they don't want to lose that feel.
That edge. But here's the thing: the edge, you're never going to lose that edge because it's been a skill that you developed over a ton of time. It is a muscle memory right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what entrepreneurs say to me. They're like, well, if I go and fix my brain and my brain gets super calm and peaceful, am I going to lose my edge? I'm like, no, because your edge is a skill set. It is. You've, like, think about it this way, right? A Navy SEAL shoots his gun like 10,000 times, right, in practice. He's not going to forget how to draw his weapon and shoot his gun if he suddenly is more calm.
Correct.
That's not going to happen because it's a skill he's been developing. It's the same thing with the edge. And when entrepreneurs are like, well, I'm going to lose my edge if I get calm, I'm like, no, you're not. The edge is going to be like expanded dramatically so you can see a ton more in the world that you never could have seen before because you're so hyper focused on the one thing.
Field vision.
Correct.
I can see that.
So anyway, that's just a little bit of this cool brain stuff that I geek out on.
Yeah, and I will get some of this information because Mikey and I, if this works, Mikey and I will come out there and we will do a podcast where you're at.
I will talk about how it changes your brain.
I'm willing to do some experimental shit.
It's really, really cool. I love it.
Because you said the rules, which that still just is now it's that loop that's in my head now. It's, wait a minute here. When I go to my counselor, I'm going to say, wait a minute, they're not boundaries, they're rules. That just changed the game for me. Like it really did, just in that perspective. Perception versus perspective. A lot of times they're used the same way. They're totally different.
Totally different.
Rules. That's awesome. But do you have anything else? Because we can.
Well, this was great. I loved it. I mean, we had a good time. We got a little bit of a challenge out there to see if we could change your brain. Change what that feels.
Yeah, I'm always about, because I'm not, the one thing I can also say about myself is I know that the way I am sometimes isn't right. It's what I was used to. I know that's who I am, but I know it's not always right. Now, fixing it is harder than admitting it, but the first step is admitting it. And I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I'm good at what I do. I know I'm going to have a great skill set, and not in a cocky way, but just a way that I know. But it's like, I also realize too that I come off really hard on people. And even though inside I'm not.
You're a total teddy bear.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's.
But you are. But here's the thing: you were
like,
like,
quit laughing.
But he is though. He's the sweetest man, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's the sweetest man. But
I'm rugged and ruthless.
Well, rugged and ruthless, but also very sweet in your heart. And I think like there's a big part of you that like I think stop north people can see. Stu sees it. He knows.
Yeah.
You're such a good man. And I
try, but that came from because I used to not be. So there was a lot of things I did, and it came from me saying, okay, I'm not doing this right. I'm doing this wrong. Finding my faith again, which changed it. So, I mean, yes, I can make, you're probably right now, but
the
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
As a concept to think about, the level that you change because of faith and reconnecting to that.
It changes your whole world.
That is the level of change that will happen when your brain is in this new place.
Well, I mean, I'll kind of briefly tell you, and then we'll cause we're gonna, this is gonna be a long episode, Mikey.
Yeah. No.
But the one thing about it is though, I was going through a real dark path, and God talked to me, and that's what changed my world.
Me too.
Talked to me like 3 nights.
What did he say? It was
so the one thing that I took from the first night, it was the feeling. I asked for forgiveness. It was the feeling, and I remember going to bed not feeling any different. I remember waking up the next morning, like in the way I described it, it was freezing cold, and I've been cold my whole life, and I had a warm blanket that was put over me.
That's how
the second night was. It was one thing. This will happen, but it's not going to happen yet. It was a whole dream, and that's that. It was very personal, so I don't talk about that part. Third night, I was in a dark room. There was 2 inanimate objects. There was Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and there was a soccer ball on this little octagon table. Everything around me was dark. And I heard this voice say, why are you paying attention to things that are inanimate? Pay attention to what's important. Stop focusing your energy on this. Stop doing it. And this is the biggest part. Then I saw my stepdad. And when he talked, I knew it wasn't his voice, but I knew who it was. Like I could feel it. Like it was an emotion. And then I woke up the next morning, actually right after the dream, like when I woke up, it was 4:11 in the morning. And I said, that fucking just changed my life. And I went back to sleep. And I was sicker than dog, 103 fever, sick. And I woke up, I'm thinking, was I hallucinating? But the feeling has never changed. And he'll tell you before that, I wasn't a teddy bear. Was I, Mikey?
There was a change.
Definitely changed. And if you go back to my podcast on ruthless.com, so I got to plug it. If you go back on it, look at the episode before the Uncle Ted episode, and then look at the Uncle Ted episode. The Uncle Ted episode, I was in such a different place, I didn't even know what to say. I kept repeating the same things because my brain was not there. That is our shortest one. It was 17 minutes. I couldn't focus. Man, look at those deer over there. Like, my brain was in a different place because that was the morning it happened. That was the morning. And then since then, the drinking changed. Everything's changed.
Well, that speaks to you. It's a profound experience.
You'll never forget it.
No, I had that experience too.
I started praying every day. I started finding my face. Even if I don't get up and pray because sometimes I'm so exhausted, I will always pray. I talk to him all day long now.
We do.
Every day. I'm like, hey, am I doing this right? Because I'm not doing it. Just in the
It's so beautiful though, like just to know that you got that. Like, I remember God told me, he's like, I need you to be free. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, you'll see. I need you to be free. And that's what sort of led to my.
And that's what he kind of just left it open. He goes in the second, he's like, this is going to happen. But essentially was saying, this is going to happen, not yet, because you're not there yet. And I knew exactly what he was saying when he said it. And in the circumstance and everything, I knew exactly what it was. And then since then, okay, maybe I have turned into a little bit of a teddy bear Mike. Before that, I was just a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like, it was like black and white. And now I'm just like, okay, things still bother me, but I'm like, okay, God, if this is the path you want me to take, how do I get past it? One of my favorite sayings is, just because you're walking through hell doesn't mean you have to stop.
Yep.
It's your choice. Or if somebody gives you a flaming bag of shit, it's your choice to hold it. You know, just let it go and move forward.
One of my favorite sayings is, only person that causes your struggle and suffering is you. So you just have to decide how long.
That's me on dollar. That's me in Bo. I keep stuck. I mean, I played this morning. It was 79 when I started. By the third or fourth hole, it was like 94. I had to change clothes before I came inside.
I can only imagine. I used to use golf as my time to connect with God because walking the course was calming for me.
I don't walk. My knees and ankles hurt. I was in the Army. I take
that car. Hear this man now, right? No, I gotta check timing, guys, because oh shoot, I was supposed to be on a call about 20 minutes ago. It is what it is.
Well, we were just giving a close up anyway. So plug your stuff one more time. Tell me where you can find you. Do everything. Make sure you do that.
So what you guys just experienced there was us figuring something out for his brain that helps him improve in some way in life. And so I do a lot of that with clients, and I do a lot of that with teams. You can find me at northstarleadership.annie on Instagram. You can find me at northstarleadershipschool.com. You can literally reach out anytime you want, and I answer a ton of questions. Then I'll actually post the videos that are an answer to your question on Instagram, so you have some immediate responses if you'd like.
That's awesome. And well, you know what the funny thing is? And when you see what you just said, that breakthrough, if they would have been before my godly experience, that never would have happened.
Never would have happened.
I'm like, well, you're wrong. But
that's why we had to meet right now.
Everything happens for a reason.
Something else is coming.
Blessings and lessons. So guys, thank you for tuning in. You can find us at ruggedruthless.com. Thank you to our first responders, our teachers, our veterans. We got your six. You always have a seat at my table. I love you guys. Find us anywhere you get your Spotify or your whatever it is. Anywhere you can find, anywhere you can do podcasts. Who cares? Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Next week will probably be with my son, because now we're posting them as they go now. Thank you to Mikey over there, my camera guy. Waste times I'm going to get a camera on him just to look at his reactions. I love you guys. Be safe out there, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, just don't get caught.
Thank you so much.
That's fun.
That's good.